Hi, my name is Tyler Slayton,
And I'm Avios Hanan.
and for our cultural comparison project, we compared Cornerstone Grill and Loft with Big Play Sports Grill, which are two bars located on the popular Route 1 strip in College Park, Maryland. We chose to study these organizations because they have distinct corporate cultures yet provide the same basic services.
In addition, they are both very popular places to eat, drink, and socialize among the thousands of College Park students. We are both frequent customers to these bars, and as college students enjoy the different atmospheres and products that they provide.
Another reason we choose to study these two bars in particular is because Cornerstone is one of the oldest bars in College Park, whereas Big Play is one of the newest. Because of this, they have both similar yet different issues in drawing their crowds.
Both organizations operate with a low power distance in which employees and management are interdependent on each other. Many of the cultural values have been established at Cornerstone, whereas Big Play is still trying to determine their corporate culture. The goal of our study was to determine the reason behind why students choose one bar over the other, whether that be food, drinks, happy hour, nightlife, or just their corporate culture as a whole.
Big Play Sports Bar is the newest bar in College Park. It was founded in 2013 by Andre Hobson, Alan Morse, and Israq Coleman. During the day, the tables are set up throughout, with relaxed hip-hop and R&B. During the nights, the tables are cleared and usually more heavy rap is played.
Cornerstone was established in 1997 after taking the place of its predecessor, the Rendezvous, which was the single most popular bar in the 80s. There are 2 floors, over 20 TVs, and a bar on each floor. During the day, the bars themselves were packed. They had tables set up throughout both floors, with people eating food and drinking beers with relaxed music playing in the background. At night, the bar was packed with students, electronic music playing, and the tables were moved.
We observed both Cornerstone and Big Play, formally and informally, through surveys, media coverage, personal observations, and interviews.
For our survey, we provoked closed and open-ended questions regarding the 2 bars we are researching on Route 1. We were interested in learning which bar people prefer and what affects their decision in going to that bar. We also included questions that asked whether the history, environment, or demographic affected customer experience and appeal. This gave us further insight into what to research in how people choose their bar. For example, when asked, does the history behind Cornerstone affect your decision to go to this bar? 49% of people said they were unaware of Cornerstone's history. Although the bar strives on its rich background for its cultural values, people did not gravitate towards it specifically for that reason. Statistics such as this were good in understanding some of the problems that these bars faced, which we'll go into a bit later.
We did online research and read articles to understand the history, values, and troubles faced by both bars. Since these are both local businesses and not nationally owned chains, most of our information came from the Diamondback and other local newspapers.
Some of the informal ways were through simply being customers, sitting down at a table and interacting with employees, eating and drinking, and observing the daily environment and operations. We went to both bars at different hours of operations and days of the week to understand the clientele, the employees, the busiest hours, and the different environments provided.
During the day, it was a very laid-back environment, with relaxing rock music, friends socializing, and patrons enjoying meals with light drinks such as beers or mixed drinks. While recording field notes, I had a male server spark a spontaneous conversation with me after him overhearing me comment on a baseball game. After such, we had almost a 5-minute conversation about the sport and our opinions on such. This links directly back to the values of sports and fun that Cornerstone established, and it was easy for him to take the time to focus on me, seeing that the informal and interpersonal leadership method encourages such.
With Big Play, we were also able to take some of our field notes and further analyze their internal organization. When Tyler went to visit Big Play, the bartenders were all having a good time talking to both each other and the customers, making it an incredibly open and comfortable environment. From that, we can infer that Big Play supports the idea of interpersonal communication among employees, their supervisors, and the customers.
In addition, we did personal interviews with both bar managers to better understand the internal workings and organizational structure of the individual bars.
Through our functionalist analysis, we were able to learn about the different cultures, values, and managerial approaches that each bar chose to take. When it comes to organizational culture and values, Big Play is big on coming up with new and innovative ideas with several promotions and specials. Furthermore, it prides itself on its friendly environment, specifically on being a place to relax and socialize with friends over some food and drinks, all revolving around the main idea of interpersonal communication. The mindset is more about food over alcohol. We saw this both through our field observations and from our online research, where in an article by the Diamondback, owner Andre Hobson explains, quote, "We think alcohol is alcohol wherever you go. Food is what's going to keep us in business."
Cornerstone's values are pretty similar when it comes to interpersonal communication, but different in some aspects. For the most part, Cornerstone sticks to pretty traditional promotions and specials. Again, their main values are also interpersonal communication and leadership, openness, and friendliness. However, a lot of the focus is on tremendous amounts of beer on tap and in bottles, rather than the food. Also, the look of the bar is very traditional, with a classic wooden old-fashioned look to it, giving it a much different feel than Big Play. An example of this, while we were observing the nighttime employees behind the bar, was they were serving drinks to customers, cracking jokes, and dancing around each other, even playing games at some points. The bartenders even the on-duty manager were playing a game, tossing the empty ketchup containers into a trash can as if it was a game of basketball. Furthermore, in our interview with manager Chris Wood, the long-standing manager of Cornerstone, he mentioned how, quote, "Managing a bar is unlike any other business. Although you need to maintain oversight and assertiveness over employees, you also need to allow them to have individual freedom and sometimes break the rules in order to support the fun environment."
Moving on, there are notable similarities and differences between the two bars that can affect their success. In terms of similarities, as mentioned earlier, both organizations revolve around the idea of interpersonal communication, which is pretty uniform throughout all sports bars or pubs. And with the interpersonal communication comes their focus on a relaxed environment during the day. Furthermore, they both consider themselves to be sports bars, having TVs throughout the entire room. And lastly, their organizational culture is similar. They both run similarly internally in terms of manager-employee relations. Specifically, they operate using informal lines of communication.
Their history is also a notable difference. Cornerstone has been around for decades, while Big Play is brand new to the market. This also leads to the difference in their reputations. Cornerstone is established and has a brand name, while Big Play is still in the process of figuring out how to build and operate its corporate culture.
One main thing that Big Play does well is their promotions. One example being their 25-cent wing night every Wednesday that draws a larger and larger crowd each week. Another is their corporate culture. It matches exactly what was expected of a sports bar, giving them the image that they are trying to portray to their publics.
Cornerstone recognizes that their target audience is the student population around them, and they appeal to this market in everything that they do. They also host a relaxed environment that starts with their managerial staff and trickles down to both their employees and customers. Lastly, Cornerstone kept their corporate culture the same over the years. The surrounding community loves Cornerstone for what it is, so they recognize that there's no need to change. The owner keeps this in his true vision.
While the bars do a lot of things well, they also face some challenges along the way. Big Play's main challenge is that they are brand new. They are still trying to figure out their identity and build their corporate culture.
Since Cornerstone is an established company, they generally know what works and what doesn't. One problem they do seem to face, though, is a constant turnover of employees. During our research, we found several areas of improvement that could drastically help the bars become more successful. The first obvious point of improvement for Big Play was their clientele. Since their main demographic is College Park residents, but the largest population around them is UMD students, they need to somehow make it more appealing to these students in order to draw a larger crowd. They could introduce new nights or promotions featuring cheap drinks or different styles of music to draw these larger college crowds. While they already have attended some, including Greek Thursdays, adding new ones could help them compete with already established bars along Route 1.
When it comes to Cornerstone, managers should work on drawing the line between an open environment and actual organizational structure. Sometimes the manager may request that his employees help build the corporate culture with rational analysis. But to do so, employees must understand that it's not all about just fun and games. Employees must be able to contribute to the culture with logical ideas, such as introducing drink specials during certain sports, not just by playing catch-up basketball as we mentioned earlier.
So after analyzing all the information, what bar would you choose? Would you choose one over the other because of their environment? Or maybe their bar specials? Make sure to think about what we've gone over in this presentation when you go out next time to Route 1 to go to a bar.